Polite. Ready. Yes.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila. Today we begin chapter 23. So we're continuing with what is the section of Chaitanya Charitamrita which is known as Sanatan Shiksha, the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Shiksha. Preceding Sanatan Shiksha, chapter 19 was known as Rupa Shiksha. Shiksha means instruction, so the instructions to Rupa Goswami. And these instructions given by Mahaprabhu to Rupa and Sanatan were then taken and they were reproduced by these Goswamis, Rupa and Sanatan, in literatures such as the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Hari Bhakti Vilas, etc. So, the core concepts and the basic concepts of what we find in those literatures is here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then it's further fleshed out and elaborated in those books. So we're in chapter 23, which is called Life's Ultimate Goal, Love of Godhead. And we'll read a brief summary, and this is extracted from the Amrita Pravahavasya of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita is known as the Anubhasya. Bhasya means a commentary, a purport or a commentary. And his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary was called Amrita Pravahavasya. And Srila Prabhupada, when he's making the commentary for this edition, English translation, he consulted both those commentaries of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Anubhasya and Amrita Pravahavasya. When we read in a lot of these purports, Prabhupada talks about various historical places that are mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he talks about train stations. Now it's near such and such a station. You get off at the station, you walk 2 miles or whatever. That is, as far from what I know, is generally taken from Saraswati Thakur's commentaries, where these details are given, and Prabhupada is reproducing it there. The following summary study of the 23rd chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravahavasya. In this chapter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes the symptoms of emotion and love and the awakening of one's original relationship with the Lord, as well as the characteristics of a devotee who has actually attained that stage. He then describes the gradual increase of love of God up to the point of Mahabhav. He then describes the 5 divisions of attraction and how they continue. He also describes the mellow derived from conjugal love, which is the supreme emotion. Conjugal love is divided into 2 categories, Svakya and Parakya. Svakya refers to loving affairs between a husband and wife, and Parakya refers to loving affairs between 2 lovers. There are a number of descriptions in this connection. There is also a description of the 64 transcendental qualities of Krishna. Srimati Radharani has 25 transcendental qualities. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then describes those candidates who are eligible to taste the mellows of devotional service. Their fundamental natures and their varieties are also described. The Lord informs Sanatan Goswami about all the confidential paraphernalia of devotional service. He gives a description of Goloka Vrindavan, where the Lord is engaged in his eternal pastimes described in the Hari Vamsa. There is also an opposing and favorable description of Kesha Avatar. All these instructions are mentioned herein. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed Sanatana Goswami, placing his own hand on his head. Thus, Sanatana received the power to describe these subjects in books like Hari Bhakti Vilas. So, the previous chapter was known as the process of devotional service. That was chapter 22, which is known as Abhideya Gyan, Abhideya Tattva, the process. And now this is translated as life's ultimate goal, love of Godhead, which is known as Prayojan Tattva, which is the ultimate goal. So you get Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. These are like the three categories of spiritual knowledge. One is to understand, Sambandha means a relationship. So to understand who one is and who God is, and that there's a connection between individual living entities and God. It's kind of theoretical. And then once that has been understood or accepted, then the next logical step is to put that into practice. So if my fulfillment and potential lies in a relationship with the Supreme, then how do I go about establishing that relationship? And the application of that, the practice, which is known as sadhana, is called abhideya. So sambandha, knowledge of a relationship. Abhideya is putting that into practice. So the previous chapters in Sanatana Shiksha were Sambandha Gyan, and the chapter 22 is Abhideya, which we've just finished, the process of devotional service. And then after a certain amount of practice, one achieves the goal, which is known as Prayojan. Prayojan means the goal, achievement of the goal. So that's this chapter, Prayojan Tattva, life's ultimate goal, love of Godhead. We go from theory, Sambandha Gyan, to practical application, Abhideya, to realization of the objective, which is Prayojan. Chirad adatam nija gupta vitam swaprema namamritam atyudara apamaram yo vitatara gaura Krishno janebhyastam aham prapadye. The most munificent Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Gaura Krishna, distributed to everyone, even the lowest of men, his own confidential treasury in the form of the nectar of love of himself and the holy name. This was never given to the people at any time before. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Jai Jai Gaura Chandra Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Brinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ebe shuna bhakti phala prema prayojana yahara shravanehaya bhakti rasa jnana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, now hear, O Sanatan, about the result of devotional service, which is love of Godhead, life's ultimate goal. If one hears this description, he will be enlightened in the transcendental mellows of devotional service. Krishna Rati Gadha Haile Prema Abhidan Krishna Bhakti Rasera Aistai Bhavanam. When affection for Krishna becomes deeper, one attains love of God in devotional service. Such a position is called Sthai Bhava, permanent enjoyment of the mellows of devotional service to Krishna. Prabhupada uses the word mellows as a translation for rasa. Rasa means the substance, the essence of a relationship. Its nature and its essence. The essence and the flavor of that essence is rasa. And Prabhupada used the word mellows, which is a bit of an old-fashioned word. We don't hear it used too often these days. But it kind of means a flavor and a type.
The pleasure?
A mood. A mellow. Sorry?
Pleasure or not necessarily?
Not mellows does not necessarily mean pleasure. It means kind of a mood, a flavor of mood. A mellow. There's also another word called a
rasa, sorry,
humor.
Rasa, does it refer to the pleasure?
Not just pleasure, but rasa, because there's different types of rasa. There's also rasa which involves like shock and awe.
Okay.
There's also bhaya rasa, which is like fear. So it just refers to the nature and the essence of a relationship.
The modality.
So, yeah, type of modality is a type of relationship. A mode. If a modality is a mode, then it's a mode of relationship. I mean, it's difficult to translate the word rasa. There's no direct one word that can encapsulate what rasa is from Sanskrit to English. But mellow. But I mean, you say mellow to most people these days, and they think it means chilled out, right? Oh, he's really mellow. He's a mellow dude. But it's not what Prabhupada means in terms of mellow here. But rasa is like the essence of a relationship. It's the substance of a relationship. It's that unseen thing that is felt in a relationship. It's the taste of the relationship, you could say, the rasa. So, bhakti rasa is a relationship of devotion. Bhakti meaning devotion. So, bhakti rasa means the taste of devotion in a relationship.
Is that something we choose or intend, the rasa, or does it reveal itself?
Generally, it's the initiative comes from the devotee, and then the revealing, the revelation of the rasa follows. As the devotee approaches Krishna, so Krishna reveals himself. So the initiative is taken by the devotee. But that doesn't mean it's fixed. Devotees are attracted to serve in different capacities, different rasas. Depending on the nature of the devotee, they choose a particular rasa to serve Krishna, and Krishna responds in that same way. In the Gita it says, as they approach me, I reward them accordingly. So it's according to the nature of the devotee, the specific relationship type that is chosen and practiced by the devotee in their life. That becomes the theme, the flavor of their relationship with Krishna. As it said in the little summary here that we just read, he then describes the Mahaprabhu. Describes the 5 divisions of attraction and how they continue. So this is referring to the 5 chief rasas in bhakti, starting with Shanta ras, Dasya ras, Shakya rasa, Vatsalya, and Madhura. So devotees are going to have different natures. Some will go for servitorship, which is Dasya ras, like Hanumanji. Whereas the Mahabhav of Srimati Radharani is Madhura ras, sweet, romantic. Whereas Arjuna with Krishna, that's Sakya ras, friendship. Mother Yasoda, different mood to Radharani. It's not romantic, it's motherly, Vatsalya rasa. So these are the ways that the devotees are expressing love for Krishna, and Krishna is responding in that way. But it's not fixed, you see, that's the thing. It may be fixed, but it may not necessarily be fixed. It's not necessarily fixed. There is room for evolution. Guru Maharaj talked, this is basic philosophy. It's there in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Devotees travelling from one meeting higher, different gradations. And the gradation of the devotee is measured by the type of rasa that characterizes their relationship with Krishna. So Madhura rasa is, of course, considered the topmost. Shanta rasa is the beginning of devotional service. Shanta means peaceful. So there's no urge to the pull and the attraction of the Maya Shakti, the material energy that has been eliminated from a person's consciousness. So now that all of that distraction is gone, the person feels peace. That's why it's known as Shantaras. But there's no strong impulse to perform devotional service. So the negative has been abolished, but the positive hasn't been fully inculcated yet. So although they're touching on the realms of devotional service, it hasn't been fully applied. So devotional service becomes, you could say, real, or what's the word? Applied. The positive realm comes alive with dasya rasa. A person begins to perform activity rather than just having a neutral relationship with the Supreme. Having gone above the material world, but not fully entered into the realm of spiritual activity, that's Shantaras. And then Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhura, gradations of spiritual services, activities in the spiritual realm. So that will be described, all of this will be described later in this chapter. Where were we? Sthayi bhav, permanent enjoyment of the mallows of devotional service. Fixed. Shuddha sattva visheshatma prema suryam susamyabhak ruchibis chitamashrinya krid aso bhava uchyate. When devotional service is situated on the transcendental platform of pure goodness, it is like a ray of sunlight of love for Krishna. At such a time, devotional service causes the heart to be softened by various tastes, and it is called bhava, emotion. So this, and the purport says, this verse is found in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 131. So all of this that is described in the Sanatana Shiksha and Rupa Shiksha in chapter 19 is reproduced in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So there are a lot of verses quoted here from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. They're recorded in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Kaviraj Goswami has taken them and put them in the Chaitanya Charitamrita because that was where they were originally spoken, from Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. E dui bhavere swarupa tatashta lakshana premere lakshana eba shuna sanatana. Bhava, emotion, has two different symptoms, constitutional and marginal. Now, my dear Sanatan, listen to the symptoms of love. Purport. The word Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma means situated on the transcendental platform of pure goodness. In this way, the soul is purified of all material contamination, and this position is called Swarup Lakshana, the constitutional symptom of bhava, emotion. By various tastes, one's heart is softened, and there is an awakening of one's loving propensity to render spontaneous service to the Lord. This is called Tatashta Lakshana, the marginal symptom of bhava. So the what it's saying is that the primary symptom of bhava is that all material desires disappear, and then from that, so it's like Swarup Lakshana and Tatashta Lakshana. Lakshana meaning a symptom or an effect. So the primary effect, the core effect, is that, it's a Swarup and Tatashta, is that one is free of any material emotion, and then the marginal effect springing from that core effect is that then one wants to go and perform devotional service, to act on that bhava. Samyan masrinita svanto mamadvati sayankitaha Bhavasa eva sandratma budhe prema nigadyate samyan mashnita svanto mamatvati sayankita bhavasa eva sandratma budhe prema nigadyate. When that bhava softens the heart completely, when that bhava softens the heart completely, becomes endowed with a great feeling of possessiveness and becomes very much condensed. Must mean when that bhava which softens the heart completely becomes endowed with a great feeling of possessiveness in relation to the Lord and becomes very much condensed and intensified, it is called prema, love of Godhead by learned scholars. Again, verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Ananya mamatta Vishno mamatta prema sangata bhaktir-ityuchyate bhishma praladodhava-naradai. When one develops an unflinching sense of ownership or possessiveness in relation to Lord Vishnu, or in other words, when one thinks Lord Vishnu and no one else to be the only object of love, such an awakening is called bhakti by exalted persons like Bhishma, Prahlad, Uddhava and Narad. Verse from Narad Pancharatna, also found in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Kona bhagye kona jivera shraddha yadihaya tabe se jiva sadhu sangaye karaya. If by good fortune a living entity develops faith in Krishna, he begins to associate with devotees. Sadhu sange haite haya shravana kirtana sadhana bhaktye haya sarvanata nirvatana. When one is encouraged in devotional service by the association of devotees, one becomes free from all unwanted contamination by following the regulative principles and chanting and hearing. Anartha nivriti haile bhakti nishtahaya nishtahaite shravanadye ruchi upajaya. When one is freed from all unwanted contamination, he advances with firm faith. When firm faith and devotional service awakens, the taste for hearing and chanting awakens. So what we're having here is Mahaprabhu is describing how, and this has also been reproduced in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there's 9 stages or rungs on the ladder of spiritual advancement in bhakti, starting with Shraddha and ending in Prem. Shraddha to Prem. Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajana Kriya, Anatanivriti, Ruchi, Nishta, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhava, Prem. 9. And so Mahaprabhu is detailing them here. If by good fortune a living entity develops faith in Krishna, known here, as the verse says, Kona bhagye, Kona jivera, Shraddha, Yadihaya. Tabe se jiva, sadhu sanga ye karaya. So first comes faith, and then from that faith one sees value in association with devotees. From the association with devotees, we have anartanivriti haila bhakti nishtahaya. Anartanivriti, which means that those desires which were previously dwelling in the heart, the mind, the intellect, the body, etc., they begin to leave. Unwanted desires, anartha. Artha means something of value. Artha, like we have the 4 purusharthas in life: dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. So artha in this sense means the accumulation of wealth or material resources. So anartha means something that is not worth accumulating. In other words, an unwanted thing, a useless item. Nivriti means the cleaning out. So anartha nivriti means the cleaning out of those things that are just cluttering one's consciousness. And that comes after sadhusanga, and sadhusanga comes after Shraddha. So Mahaprabhu is listing these consecutive stages of bhakti development. When one is freed from all unwanted contamination, he advances with firm faith. When firm faith and devotional service is awakened, a taste for hearing and chanting also awakens. Nishtahaite shravanadye ruchi upajaya. Ruchi means a taste. And this, in a sense, is when devotional service proper begins. Before then, it's just going through the mechanics of it all. We know that we have this idea that going through various processes, rituals, following a particular lifestyle is going to produce a result which we presume is going to be worthy of our time and energy. It's going to make us happy. And of course, as it says in the Bhakti Rasamrita, the first symptom of bhakti is that it dispels material unhappiness. It dispels the anxieties that come with a lifestyle based on material attachments, pursuing material objectives, all the anxieties and stresses that come with that. So bhakti, the first effect is that it dispels that. But at the same time, devotional service proper doesn't really start until you have a taste for it. Before then, it's somewhat theoretical. Somewhat going through the motions of something with the presumption, in the recognition that it's going to produce results down the line. But until one's heart is captured, it's like a rehearsal. It's like getting ready for the real thing, or trying to invite the real thing into one's life. It's somewhat mechanistic, theoretical, mechanistic. We understand the theory, we're going through the mechanics of it, but the real life of it hasn't yet entered into one's heart. And that happens at the stage of ruchi. Ruchi comes after nishta. So that's why we have here, and nishta, of course, comes after anatta-nivritti. Yes?
I have a post question.
So when we're going through before we develop the taste of ruchi or the taste, and we're going through, you described rehearsal, the motions, the mechanics of devotional service, how much do we push and force ourselves through that?
As much as you possibly can.
Through gritted teeth and grinding.
I mean, you have to use common sense. You don't, if you don't push yourself to a point where you fatigue and you need to sit down and recuperate for extended periods of time, you use a strategy that moves at a healthy pace, but at the same time has endurance. So, in the beginning, Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks of various symptoms that come about, and one of them is this, what you could call, I forget the Sanskrit for it. It'll come to me, but it's kind of like a stop-start phenomenon, where you see people like they get all enthusiastic for a certain period of time, whatever it might be, and then they relax and disappear, and then reappear all very enthusiastic, and then stop for a while, and then so this inconsistency in one's practice. It's a lot better than no practice at all. There's no comparison between the two. But it is a typical symptom of one who has not yet achieved the stage of nishta. Nishta means steadiness, which is listed right here. Nishta haite shravanadye ruchi upajaya. And nishta is the stage before ruchi. So when there's still some anarthas there, then they cause inconsistency in one's application, in one's practice. Because it's like they are alternative avenues which the mind and the consciousness runs down. It cannot focus exclusively on the bhakti avenue. So that causes instability, inconsistency. So Guru Maharaj says in this regard that it is better to move at a slower but more steady and consistent pace rather than sprint and then lie down and then get up and sprint again and then lie down. Guru Maharaj says this. It's exactly this point, that it's better to select a pace which you can keep, be steady and consistent, rather than get up and try and go gung-ho and then fatigue and lie down and then, disappear and then decide, come back and like it's better to have a rational and consistent approach than a kind of a bipolar approach where you're up, you're right up and at it, and then you're down, and then you're at it again, and then down. So, better to be, in this regard, better be the tortoise than the hare. You know the old fable, right? The tortoise and the hare having a race, and the tortoise is a slow mover. The hare, the rabbit, can run really fast. So they're going to have a race, and the rabbit goes, "Yeah, I can easily beat you. What are you talking about?" So they're starting the race, and the rabbit's running, and then lies down, and the tortoise is just slowly moving along. Because I know the tortoise has crossed the finish line, the rabbit's still lying there thinking that he's gone really fast, covered a lot of ground. It may not be a perfect example, but if the moral is that slow and steady wins the race, then that is aligning with what Guru Maharaj says, to select a pace at which one can travel with longevity and endurance, not to select a pace which one cannot maintain. It's better than not traversing the path at all. It's a lot better than that. But consistency is always best. Although in the beginning it's difficult, because if there is no nishta, steadiness, then there's going to be anishta, unsteadiness. Actually, these 4 Bhava Tarala, Tarangarangini subcategories that are listed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur are known as anishta. What you can expect in bhakti before the stage of nishta. You can actually expect these things. You can expect your enthusiasm to wax and wane. But nishta is a very high standard. We may go, it's only number 4 on this 9-runged ladder of bhakti, but it's actually a very high standard. It is succeeding anartha nivriti. Anartha nivriti means your heart has been expunged of all of these blocks, all of this chaff that blocks the flow and the culture of bhakti in your consciousness. So nishta is very high. Nishta is a stage achieved after that, after you've cleansed yourself of your material samskaras, these deep ingrained tendencies in your consciousness that are geared, driven towards finding happiness in various items of the world. Once that is gone, then you can find nishta. So it's a very high standard. But before that standard has been achieved, you can expect to have anishta, waxing and waning type effects, inconsistencies. It's no big deal. It's part of the process. But if you can understand what it is, then you can realize that you can self-diagnose and go, right, I'm here. But, this has been listed. I'm not traversing unknown territory. Greener pastures have been promised once I've gotten through the muddy field.
What you were saying about slow and steady wins the race is from the Loving Search for the Lost Servant.
There we go.
Further. beneath the loving eye of God. That chapter.
Great.
Would you like to study?
Yes.
I was homework.
Thanks for that. Yeah, that was Guru Maharaj's instruction on the matter. It's practical. Ruchi height. Yeah.
Just about the faith. So there is a faith. Before entering all this process, there is
Shraddha, faith.
There is a faith that is conditioned, no, to start all this process, kind of, no? You said something like a faith in a God, but it's vague. It's very vague, is it that? Well, what kind of faith is that?
Some kind of faith that the bhakti process is a worthwhile pursuit. So it may be vague faith. It can't be expected.
Something else.
Okay.
It's not a faith in a God. Like, you come from other religions, and you suddenly meet a devotee of Hare Krishna, but you have already this kind of faith, vague faith in God. It doesn't refer to that.
It does, to an extent, refer to that. Yeah. It's nothing too abstract. It's faith as we know it.
Okay.
So, I mean, consider it this way. If you don't have faith in something, you're never going to make progress in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's simply it's like conviction or belief or whatever word you want to use.
In a personified entity, in a God as a personified entity, I guess.
No. Yeah.
And then there is another phase, which is when we get in touch with the Vaishnava. We have faith that this devotional service, faith in the devotional service, no?
Well, you could say one is broad. You could say everyone has faith in something, right? If you lose faith completely, people tend to take their own lives. They've got no faith even in themselves. So it's not a different faith. Someone has faith in Jesus or faith in Allah or whatever. It's the same faith. It's not the same substance. The object of the faith is different, but the faith itself is the same.
But it's necessarily in a condition, right? No one would get in touch with have the blessing to get in touch with the Vaishnava without having this faith, right?
That's correct. It's an interesting point because in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it talks about this a little bit. Because the discussion could be had that, well, how is someone going to have faith if, faith being the step number one on the bhakti path, unless they've come in contact with Vaishnavas and had the grace of a Vaishnav, which has given them that faith. But then you could say, why would someone want to associate with Vaishnavas unless they have faith that something beneficial will come about from it? You could say, which one comes first, the chicken or the egg? Right? Which one comes first, the sadhu sangha which bestows the faith, or the faith which causes one to engage in the sadhu sangha? And you could say it's a little bit of both, but it's given that first a person has a certain amount of faith that they'll get something from the sadhu sangha, and that faith can come about through pious credits, known in punya. Sanskrit is punya, good fortune, roughly translated, good fortune. So they're able to generically appreciate the value of God and those people that are trying to connect with God. So you say that broad faith, as you were talking about before. And from that broad faith, they appreciate the association of devotees. And with the association of devotees, they get this like Dvitiya Shraddha, which means a second installment of faith, which is more specific and stronger. And that comes after sadhu sangha. So further, there's like a general, more abstract faith that causes them to appreciate the value of sadhu sangha, or at least be open to it, association with devotees. And then that association then establishes a more specific, targeted, stronger faith.
And the prema, you could also define it as a full faith, or
Prema is love.
we can't.
Prema is the blossoming of a process that begins with faith. Faith is there the whole way through. Faith doesn't go. And all of the items, they don't go as such. They're all there. Like anartha nivritti is of course there in prema. It's not like anartha has come back. And shraddha is there. Sadhu sangha is there. The whole way through. There's a verse given maybe 2 chapters back where Krishna bhakti janma mula hai sadhu sangha Krishna prema janma teno puna mukya anga. So it's Krishna bhakti janma mula. Mula means the root. So the root of Krishna bhakti, hai sadhu sangha, is in sadhu sangha, association, devotees. Krishna prema, the goal. Krishna prema janma puna teno. Krishna prema janma teno puna mukya anga. Even when the goal is achieved, Krishna prema, sadhu sangha, puna mukya anga. Anga means a limb. It's puna mukya, still the chief limb, the chief element. So it's the root, and once the fruit has been tasted or the goal achieved, it's still the principal element. So the faith is there the whole way through. The sadhu sangha, as that verse just says, is there the whole way through. Bhajana kriya, in terms of the practicing stage, well, you're not going to be practicing once you've achieved. It becomes spontaneous. There's no practice anymore. But those things that were done during practice are now quite possibly still done during the stage of prema, except they're spontaneous. They're done out of love and joy in a spontaneous fashion rather than a ritualistic or mechanistic fashion. So the prem is the goal, the achievement of the goal. But all of the items that are done to achieve the goal are generally included in the goal in their perfect state, in their perfect expression. Just like with Madhura Ras, the topmost rasa, the conjugal, romantic, loving rasa, all of the other rasas are present there. So you get Shanta rasa, you get the peace and the neutrality, you get the Dasya rasa, the servant, the thrill of the service, the taste of servant relationship. You get the friendship. You get the parental mood. These things are all present there in the Madhura Ras. But the Madhura Ras is not present in the other ones. It doesn't work both ways. And the example is given of like all the elements. You get a gradation of material elements, where there's 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and akash, or space. So in earth, all of the elements are present. Whereas in earth is not present in all the other elements. It's given as an example of how all of the rasas are present in Madhura Ras, but not vice versa. In the earth you have there's a way of describing it, because the material elements are connected to the senses. So akash is sound, and air is touch, and fire is sight, and water is taste, and earth is smell. The elements are connected to the senses. And inside the earth is all the others. There's sound, there's smell, fire, taste, and touch. Whereas those are not present. So earth can interact with all of the senses, whereas the other elements cannot do that. So Madhura Ras can engage all of the faculties of a devotee in their relationship with Krishna, whereas the other rasas do not have that ability. They're complete in themselves, but not as complete as Madhura Ras. Well, we'll finish there, shall we? It's 8:30. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we'll read briefly from Revealed Truth by Srila Bhaktisudanta Govinda Deva Swami Maharaj, just the sub-chapter. It's just 2 short paragraphs. Finalizing our relationship. So Gurudev is talking about chanting here, and the previous one, from memory, we talked about the Chataka bird, the attitude of the Chataka bird, which only drinks rain from the sky. The sky may also produce lightning. So even considering that, the Chataka bird is praying for the rain cloud and the water from the rain cloud. It's talking about that as a metaphor for the attitude of the devotee towards Krishna in the dispensation of mercy. So finalizing our relationship. In this way, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu shows us how to pray with an attentive and exclusive mood of devotion. It is necessary to chant the Lord's holy name with this mood in order to draw the grace of the Lord to us. We must consider that whatever we need will come to us through our prayer and the Lord's grace, and that through this mood of prayer the Lord will be inspired to bestow His mercy upon us. When we chant the Lord's holy name, it is not necessary to think or focus on anything. We only need to chant in a prayerful mood of surrender, considering, I am yours and you are mine. Through this mood, our relationship with the Lord will be finalized. At first, it will not become final, but by chanting, and chanting, slowly the source of our chanting, the Lord, will fully acquire our mind. Then, sarva shukhamaya dishaha, we will see joy in all directions. The Lord's holy name will enter our heart and give us full nourishment, supreme kalyan, mangal, benefit, auspiciousness, and so on. Jai Srila Bhaktisudanta Govinda Deva Swami Maharaj ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Do you want to sing Hari Haraya?
Shavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohana Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chanda Nitya Lila Korila Prakasha Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavana Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majaya Mana Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Koriyasha Hari Nam Sankirtana Kohe Narottama Dasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Jai Sri Shri Guru Gauranga Sundarata Giridhari Ji Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pajala Bhakti Nirmala Sarja Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pajala Bhakti Sindhu Gurudev Goswami Maharaj Gurudev Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pajala Bhakti Rakha Shri Thade Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pajala Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Guru Bharat Ki Jai. Vishwa Varanya Shrila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namaskar Shrila Hari Ki Jai. Swami Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai. Swami Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur. Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur.